Top 10 Groups and People in Period 1. Number 10. The Harappan Society. This is the first example of an organized society in the Indus River Valley. They made many new innovations such as the number 0, and they showed a high level of sophistication. They had city planning, standardized brick sizes, sewers, and indoor plumbing. Number 9. The Hittites. These are people in the Mesopotamia area, and they're invaders. The most important thing they did was they developed the war chariot, which completely changed the way war was fought. Now, instead of just having people, they have horses and chariots, and soon all other empires and states and people adopted this technology, and it completely changed the way that warfare was fought. Number 8, Thutmose III. He was the greatest pharaoh in the Egyptian New Age. So after they had gotten invaded by the Hyksos, they went into a policy of aggressiveness. He was the most aggressive. So he basically invaded other areas before they could be invaded by them. And he was able to utilize all the resources the Egyptians had and put it into military strength. And he helped them adopt new technologies, such as iron metallurgy. Number 7, the Hyksos. So they invaded Egypt, and before, Egypt had never really been invaded by a major power. So this ushered a new age. They were able to defeat Egyptians so easily because they had better technology with like iron arrows and stone compared to the stone-tipped and arrows and wood-tipped arrows of Egyptians. So after they had taken over, the Egyptians slowly were forced to adopt new technology to revolt. And this also helped take out the belief of the divine pharaoh. After this, pharaohs were not seen as like completely divine, and it ushered the new Egyptian age in which they were very aggressive and conquering to the people near them. Number 6, Hammurabi. So he was a prominent ruler in Mesopotamia, and he was able to organize his kingdom well with systems of roads, and was able to get he was centralized, so he was able to get his decrees to be followed. He made a law code called Hammurabi's Law Code, which used the law of retaliation. Basically, if someone stabs your eye, you're allowed to stab the person who stabbed you. And its sayings are still kind of exist today, and the fact that it still exists shows how powerful it was. It was one of the first examples of a uniformal law code that applied to everyone. Number 5, the Egyptians. The Egyptians were very powerful people, especially in Africa. So they had boats which encouraged trade, and they had a system of writing called hieroglyphics. Not all societies at this point had writing, and they advanced trade with their river systems. They traded not only near them, but to also the surrounding areas. They made huge monuments like pyramids, which still exist today. And because they had a divine pharaoh, they had a bureau by merit, and this is one of the first examples that we see in history of this. Number 4, the Phoenicians. Now they're great traders, and they bring in new naval technology with good boats. They make the first phonetic alphabet, and they help diffuse many cultures through trade. Like, for example, they made the purple cloth as a symbol of royalty, and they were able to bring goods from Egypt into Mesopotamia and vice versa, and they just helped facilitate trade all around. Number 3, Qin Shi Huangdi. So he was the creator of the Qin dynasty, and he was the first person to ever fully unify all of China. He made terracotta warriors, and he used a system of legalism, which was very strict, harsh punishments. If you harshly punish someone for something small, they won't do something big. And even though his dynasty didn't last very long, it set the foundation for later dynasties to take over, because this was the first time that all of China had been unified, and it created a very powerful empire. Number 2, Confucius. So he made teachings and basically made a philosophy called Confucianism, and it had relationships of how people should behave to one another. It was later used in many dynasties, and it was the basis for formal education later on in China. They used Confucianism in their education system and in their bureau, and it's a very powerful philosophy that still exists today. Number 1, the Aryans. So they were migratory Indo-Europeans. they migrated into India and they completely changed the way that it would develop. One of the most important things that they made was the caste system, and this completely changed how it was. They created a very strict social order, and they assigned jobs to each people. And the caste system was extremely influential in how India later developed, and it still exists today.